Welcome back to Wheeling Command Pro Tips. In this episode, I'm going to talk about CENTCOM Core's Tones view. So going in, I'm just going to grab a control head, a external siren, and a howler, so I have all the siren bases covered, and we're going to go forward. And go into the Tones view. So coming in, if you're familiar with the Tones view from our other hardware, you'll see that we have some extra options in here. I'm just going to go over those real quick. So we have our main internal siren, the cabin speaker, a activity tone, which pertains to whatever control head we have, the external siren that I grabbed earlier, and the howler that I grabbed earlier. So starting with the power column, here's where we set a tone to play at reduced power, or we set it to disable reduced power. What this setting does is it plays your siren at 90% less power. So this is good for if you're trying to do some crowd control or something and you don't want to blast everybody with a 100% siren. You can do enable reduced power and it's going to drop your siren's volume. And then likewise, if you want a button that's going to put your siren back into its full power state, you can do disable reduced power. I just want to make it clear that you don't have to come in here and do disable reduced power on every single button, thinking that you need to do it in order for your siren to play at 100% power. By default, your siren is going to play at 100% power. You don't have to come in and change that option here. So none is perfectly valid. You would only want to do disable reduced power if you have a button that's still on that's putting your siren in enable reduced power, and then you want this button, for example, to take it out of that mode. You can also set it so like the off state of this button would put it back into full power mode if desired. So next we have the mode column, and you see that by default everything is going to be in sync. And so what mode is doing is setting whether your tones are going to play in or out of sync. So by default, everything is going to be in sync, and you have the option of putting it out of sync if you want. So if you have one button that's going to play whale, but you want maybe your external siren to play a different tone, and you want that tone to be out of sync, you can do that. So with my external siren selected, I can come down here into this mode drop down and change it to unsync. So now when the T1 button is pressed, whale and hilo will play, but they're going to be out of sync. And you see that activity tone and the howler do not have the option of playing in sync with anything. All right, so I guess while we're here, let's talk about the howler. So the howler works like any normal siren now. It doesn't have to play the same tone that's playing on your main siren or your external siren. So you can have your howler play piercer, for example, and your external siren can play a different tone, and your internal siren can play a different tone. Just program it like how you would any normal siren. So the next thing to cover is adjusting the volume for your radio and your PA. When you have a button that's going to play your radio, you'll see that now you have a intensity slider here, and you can adjust the volume for it. This is now done in the software. It's not done on the hardware anymore. So there's no digital trim pot on the actual CENTCOM Core box itself. You have to come into the software and adjust it here. So same thing with PA. If I have this button that's going to play PA, see, I have the intensity slider where I can adjust it. And of course, the last thing is the Manage Digital Voice Messages button down here. This is where you set up your digital voice messages. I cover this in detail in another video appropriately titled Digital Voice Messages. So check out that video for more details on how to set those up. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that the howler does have PA capabilities. All right, that about covers everything for CENTCOM Core's Tones view. Thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more Wheeling Command Pro tips.